of this, we're going to have step one of the 5 steps of virtual event production complete. So buckle up. You can buy tickets to this class. It's free at my website, but if you want to join us, tickets are available. And if you buy tickets, you'll meet Gladys. That's our cashier. She likes to thank our VIP customers. That's something we learned to do in our events before. Create a little screen like this and say thanks to your VIPs. So thank you, Stacy. You're very important to what I do. And let's get right to it. This has been a cool thing I do at our virtual events at Colorado comedy shows. We share time with our favorite charity, and it's really helped us develop a whole bunch of cool events. So please meet Stacy Sanders from Elevating Connections. We'll find out about her and her terrific charity and how we're going to help put together her next event. Stacy?
Yeah, hi Chuck. Thank you so much. As always, I'm so thrilled to do anything with you and talk about what the work we do. And so Elevating Connections, we are celebrating 5 years this year of being in existence. And the purpose of Elevating Connections, we do 2 things. We reunite siblings separated in foster care. That's the thing. The kids are abused and neglected at the hands of their parents or their care providers, and then removed from the home. And for a variety of reasons, they're also separated from one or more of their siblings and placed into separate homes. And so we offer programming throughout the year. We run a summer camp called Camp To Belong. We do connecting events. We do advocacy and education throughout the year, and really try and support families so they can reunify the kids and then offer opportunities for siblings to spend as much time together. Because you think about that relationship, it's the longest relationship any of us might have in our lifetime. So we're literally raised with our siblings, and then sometimes all throughout our life, that's our only connection that we have to our family. So such an important relationship. And we're the only one only organization in Colorado really focusing solely on the sibling relationship. And then
what you do is so cool and important, and taking time to talk about it during our shows is led to most of the comedians coming on board and just getting passionate about your charity. Our audience comes back, I think, because they know we set aside a piece of our tickets for your terrific charity. And so I'm gonna reveal to this class exactly what we did to put your virtual poetry jam together. So before we even get to that, let's talk about what was the virtual poetry jam, what was the poetry jam before that, and I think that'll tell us why was it important that it had to become a virtual event, and why your upcoming Celebrate dinner is going to have to be a virtual event. So sorry to throw that old on you on one question, but I think you can handle it. You're a pro. So can you tell me about Poetry Jam and how it's important to the youth who are separated from their siblings by the foster care system?
Absolutely. You know, this is one of my favorite things to talk about. So when we started Elevating Connections, we knew that in addition to working with siblings, we would need to work with older youth who've emancipated out of the system without finding a permanent home or a permanent connection. And so one way we wanted to do that was help them find their voice. And so we do that. We started a poetry jam 3 years ago, or 2.5 years ago, because I heard a poem written by a 14-year-old girl separated from her brother, and the impact and the pain of that. And so I'm like, we need to do something with this. And so we created a whole writing workshop series that culminates for the first 2 years in a live poetry jam at a theater. Youth get to stand up on stage and share their truth and tell their story to their community, which is incredibly empowering, and it helps them kind of let go of some things. And so our plan was for 2020 was to have a third one in May, which is Foster Care Awareness Month, at the same theater we've been at. And then a little thing called COVID-19 came along and said, not so fast. And so what we've done, and before we really talk about the virtual poetry jam, could not have done it without Chuck Roy and Colorado comedy shows, because we did a full pivot to a virtual poetry jam. We were going to cancel, and the youth said, Stace, we need to still do this, and we need to do it on Zoom or however we can do it. So I called my friend Chuck and said, how can we do this? And so what we did is we did a virtual poetry jam, and we had 12 youth, I can't remember off the top of my head, speak their truth and share their stories. And what we also did was raise more money than we ever have through that event, thanks to Chuck. Do you want me to talk about the technology piece? And
we can talk about well, we'll talk about the ticketing later, but
Okay.
I think you just asked about the technology piece. Yeah, this is huge because people can buy the $224 ticket that helps you fund your mobile technology. We'll talk about why a $224 ticket is available and what that does for this course and for our shows. But go ahead and talk about the mobile technology need and what we did.
So I work with these youth every day, and it did not occur to me until this pandemic hit. And we went to virtual writing workshops, meaning they couldn't see us in person, we couldn't get to them, that some of them couldn't connect with us because they couldn't afford internet service, or they couldn't afford to pay their phone bill because they lost their jobs because of the pandemic. And so something very simple that all of us take for granted is access to the internet, even if you just have a hotspot on your phone. Normally the youth can go to the library, but all the libraries were closed. Coffee shops were closed. All the places you think of to get free Wi-Fi is not available. So it hit me like a Mack truck, and Chuck a little bit like a Mack truck, when we realized that our kids couldn't get to us because they couldn't pay their phone bill. So we started providing, raising funds through one grant, but then also a lot of money through Colorado comedy shows and these events. Money to pay for something very simple as one phone bill for a youth to reconnect their phone so they can get to their job, they can connect with their family, they can connect with us. And then we've also provided tablets.
Right.
Tablets. So tablets. Kids can do their homework. Yep. We have a lot of youth that are going to school.
Yep.
They couldn't do their homework.
Right. So we figured out a $500 ticket might, solve that problem. And we'll tell the story of how we raised $2,500 that way and what that money is doing. So what I want to do is sort of move along, because we're not done yet talking about the poetry jam and its impact, because it ended up inspiring this online class. So Introduction to Virtual Event Production is essentially a course that I want to put together so simple and easy to grasp in case somebody from Stacy's Poetry Jam thinks, I want to put on my own Zoom show. Well, they're not that far from being able to do that and sell just a few tickets to a few friends. So this course is going to analyze, like, how could somebody do that? So we're going to visit the Comedy101 Virtual Education Center. That's my building. What can I say? We do well. And I mow the lawn, just so you know. I get a square out and I make sure those lines are perfect. So I'll take you on a tour through my virtual education center. We're going to talk about the 5 steps of virtual event production. And we're going to meet an avatar called Little Annie Jokley and find out how to produce an event like Stacy's charity events. So 5 steps of virtual event production. You don't even have to get a notebook out. You can just follow along at my website. I've listed these here. Step 1 is getting started with your virtual event. Read that article. There's free articles available on my website. And at step 1, we want to gather information. This is something I just did right at the start of my productions. So when I first decided to put together shows, you end up, when you're producing a show, you have to communicate to people, what is it? So we're going to put together a general information sheet that will help us get ready for step 2, pre-production. So you can go to my website. There's a free lesson right there, virtually effective pre-production, and you can learn all the steps to pre-production. And following along in the class, you'll see Stacy's courses as examples, and we'll read case studies based on the real events. Stacy's been with me since the start of the pandemic doing shows. We went live on the ApocaLips late April and did remember, like we had just started the Zoom, the comedians are joining, and I'm getting text messages from a gig salad client that wants a virtual birthday party. And I sold it for $500 right after like the ApocaLips comedy show. And so I'm booking it live. The comedians are in the Zoom going, are you serious? And I'm like, yeah, if you stick around, I have a paycheck for you. And we did a virtual birthday party that early in April. So we're going to follow real examples of the gigs that I've been doing. And, you know, not for nothing, we've been getting 5-star ratings. So I'm going to reveal the secrets that I do to try and produce a successful event. Plus, you'll see case studies along the way of real gigs, because while you're producing one show, you might be asked to produce another. Step 4, what do you do after your successful production? It's post-production. And you're gonna find out my big secret there is just saying thank you, right? We just wanna say thanks to everybody. Step 5, we're gonna do some evaluation. We're really gonna look at metrics. And then this is bomb ass. We're gonna do virtual pub theater battles. Emily Cornelius, you're gonna give us an example later on of what virtual pub theater is. We're gonna talk about it today. That virtual pub theater is one, if you don't, I don't think I mentioned, I teach comedy at a prestigious community college right here in the heart of Denver. Just before the pandemic, I happened to teach a stand-up comedy workshop at the Kennedy Center American College Theater Festival, Region 7, where you wouldn't believe this, folks, and we'll show you in a moment, but I won an award for innovation in teaching. And right before that conference, I came across the title of pub theater. And I was like, I'm gonna have to ask my boss, Dr. Nick Taylor, about what the hell is pub theater. I did a little Googling and some research. Something like back in the 60s, London, the beatnik, like, you know, the hipsters of the 60s would go to these old theaters that are like essentially, you know, 1,000 years old above the old pubs. There were theaters and performance spaces, and they created sort of indie theater. And so at the college, I thought, we got to bring pub theater back to the community college. Like, who wants to go see community college theater? Nobody. But if you add booze, oh my God, do people ever pour in? So virtual pub theater is my little idea. And this is little Annie Jokley, another, shall we say, idea. At Stacy's events, a few of the youth definitely made me think, these people are going to want to put on their own shows. And how would they do that? So in education, we call that an avatar, right? So Annie serves as a story for us to follow along. So we're going to follow along at how she puts together virtual pub theater. And we'll look at that today. Like, how does she go from having the idea, I want to do pub theater, to putting on a show? And why not? Let's get right to it. Again, if you want to follow along, go to comedy101.chuckroy.com and you can read the exciting articles, cruise across the lawn, take time, do your studies. I like that. I guess we'll take a moment to go up to my office. There it is at the beautiful Colorado Comedy Show's Virtual Event Center. And Stacy, you know this. This appears in the ApocaLips Comedy Show every week. That's my Kennedy Center Award for innovative teaching. We bring it up in the ApocaLips Comedy Show as just, you know, a joke. And because my boss was like, you need to promote this. So, right. So right away, I was like, oh, you need to promote this? Okay, so that thing is going to be fragile, and it's going to be in every episode. And here it is as well. So boss, there's my Kennedy Center Award. And here's my private green room at the Comedy101 Virtual Education Center. If you guys want to meet one-on-one for office time or whatever, just feel free to stop by. I don't think it's too much, right?
No, it's very welcoming. It's very inviting.
I was like, guys, I don't know if there's too much gold leaf or not. And then
is there such a thing?
I don't think so. And then real late in the game, I was like, pink, can we have some pink? And I think the whole room came together. So look, one of the secrets you're hopefully picking up right now, start your virtual event, grab some PowerPoint and put some fun pictures together to entertain the folks before your meeting. Even if it's a business meeting, put some stock photos together that motivate whatever you got to do to get your team going. But rather than just be boring and staring at each other, we've had a lot of fun at the ApocaLips Comedy Show using stock photos to create all kinds of adventures. Here's my classroom. You saw my office of all the classrooms. I pushed a few instructors out and I was like, it's my house now. So again, no pink, but plenty of gold leaf. So feel free to stop by my virtual event class. We have at the Comedy101 Virtual Event Center several lecture halls in a variety of shapes. So feel free to book your virtual training with us. We'll find out how we give 10% of every virtual event to Elevating Connections. That's one of the ways we've been raising money for Stacy and her connecting events. This is where we dissect comedy. If your joke is just in terrible shape, we can put it on that slab there and just, you know, take it apart. I always get nervous in this room. It creeps me out. So enter slow. And then at Comedy101, by the way, we do lots of virtual humor research and development. Should take you to the team. We are trying to develop a vaccine for a lack of humor. No luck there, but got to tell you, we waited on PPP, by the way. We didn't buy any personal protective gear because, you know, we didn't want to take away from real people. Yeah, our scientists are trying to study the growth of humor in all sorts of animals. And this is just, that was simple. Frankenstein is funny. And then we also do dolphin research. I'm not, the dolphin's laughing. All right. I think you've gotten a sense of our virtual education center. We'll get right to the 5 steps of production, getting started with your virtual event. So right now we're gonna try and gather some information. Stacy, I want to just talk a little bit about, say, Annie and what I think the virtual pub theater battles are and such. I'm going to hold off on sharing the screen for a bit just so we can round table it and such. Annie has some ideas. You can read about them on the website, but starting with you, Stacy, you have Celebrate coming up, your virtual dinner. So what do you know about the date, time, and what other kind of details do people need to know when you set up an event?
Well, our annual fundraising event is our other big pivot this year. So normally you get to come and have dinner with us. Now, on October 16th, which is a Friday evening, we're going to do a virtual version of our biggest fundraiser of the year, celebrating 5 years. So our event is always called Celebrate because we're celebrating the sibling relationship and connection, and that's what we do. So this year we're celebrating 5 years. So it's our birthday party theme. So one of the very first things we thought about is, what is the theme? Because your theme for every event, we change the theme every year for every dinner that we have, because your theme builds into everything else that you do. Your sponsorship levels, what your invitations look like, what your programs look like. So you really do need to start with the theme. You get your date, you get your venue, which of course is Zoom, and then start with your theme is one of the biggest pieces.
So theme is really big for you. You also said the date, you also said the location, which happens to be Zoom for this one, but the time and such. So those are some basic things. I think everybody out there can be like, yeah, it sounds like Stacy's done this before. Emily Cornelius, to switch to you, you're a performer on the ApocaLips comedy show. When you go to promote shows, is there or do you promote shows? Do people ask you about when are you performing? Are there any like common pieces of information that people want from you when it comes to a show?
Yeah, I know, at least when I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing, I want to know where it is, how much it's going to cost, what time it is, and obviously what type of thing it is. So when I promote, whether it's a comedy show that I'm on or an event that I'm doing with you, I will make a post and put it on my social media with where people can buy tickets, the time and date, and also something fun. I usually put a joke in because I am a comedian and love attention.
Right.
I think it's an awesome place to put information about if you're doing it in tandem with Elevating Connections, or anything just about the event that can grab people's attention.
Right. So, Annie, if she's a real person, if she's really one of the youth that you have youth perform at Celebrate at your annual dinner, Stacy, that's where I hosted your annual dinner last year and helped raise a whole lot of money. Yes. I got passion for what you do. I think what you do is great. At the college, I know that you and the other organizations you work with, like Urban Peak, are the groups that are the problem solvers for the kids who so-called and adults who have fallen through the cracks. And during the pandemic, there's a massive concern, like what about the people who've fallen through the cracks? How are they going to stay connected? So, we lined up. If a kid is performing at Celebrate, they need to know some of the same details Emily and you talked about. If they're going to put on a show, then turns out they need these details. If you want to go to the movies, you basically need some of these details. So that's why this process is just so simple. We're almost done. We're going to create a general information sheet. This isn't anything extraordinary. We're going to take a sheet, everybody. If you don't think I've been putting off making that joke, I'm sorry. Right. If that keeps you from hiring us for your fancy corporate event, then, I guess Stacy doesn't need your donation.
Siblings don't need to connect with each other.
Right. So Annie's got an idea. I have an idea. Emily is just the perfect comedian for one pint plays and virtual pub theater.
You don't know this, Chuck, but the whole time you've been having this meeting, I've been writing the play that I'm going to perform at the end of this show.
Oh, that's awesome. So we're going to see a little bit of an example of what we call a one pint play. And the reason I want you to be feeling this excited or free, gang, is sometimes I don't know what the end idea is when I have a show, and that doesn't stop me. I move forward, and we're gonna find out how do I do that. So I'm gonna I think I have to I have to cancel this little spotlight on me, and then hopefully you're seeing on screen the slide presentation. I think I did something janky there. So step one in the 5 steps of virtual event production is to gather information, right? So we already talked about what you're doing. Start writing your notes. If you're writing a script like Emily is, go. That's information. Start gathering it, right? You do whatever your pen needs to, but when you got some time to do some clerical tasks, you want to start thinking about maybe putting together a document. I'm a computer nerd, so it's Microsoft Word for me. I'm learning to use Google Docs because students use that. People like Annie would use a Google Doc more likely than a Microsoft Word. So I'm learning to write in there. At the community college, the prestigious one that I work at,
Yeah.
in the comedy class, the students oftentimes just will write their notes in the smartphone notepad.
Yeah.
So if that's your space, just start a general information sheet here. Start a notepad, and we're just going to write down the basics. The title, we want to know when, we want to know about tickets, maybe. And what is it? Stacy called it the theme. So we just kind of want to know these basic details. So step one, I put together something called a general info sheet. So hopefully you can assemble one of these on your own. A general info sheet is a shareable document that organizes the details of your event, right? So what I want you to do is create something that you can copy paste, something that you can save as. So if you're using Google Docs, you can make a copy of your general information sheet and turn it into something like a press release. Holy cow. You can turn it into a proposal for the coffee shop. You can turn it into a proposal for a venue or a charity that might loan you their stage space. So the purpose of a general information sheet is to have something that's very interchangeable, and very something that helps you have a document that you can start writing on. I like to print them out and then I start putting my notes on them. I put them in a binder. So I can just, if I need to write something for the Dirty Christmas show, I just go to that binder and I flip it open, and oftentimes I'll just write my notes right on the top of the general information sheet. Annie likes that idea. So what we're going to try and do is prepare a general information sheet. So Annie cruises through her notes, and Stacy, Emily, you can do this as well. I'm going to sort of ask you questions, Stacy, to help you answer your own information. So for Annie here, she just jots down that she has the virtual pub theater battle. She knows that. She wants to do virtual pub theater battles. When? She doesn't know that yet. Fine. Write down when and a question mark. That's okay. Don't even write down when. Put date, time, and leave it blank. We're just gathering the information that you have, and it's okay if you don't have the title yet. I knew I had pub theater first. I didn't know I had a title yet. The ticket prices, these are just a guess, but I know I've had success with these prices with Stacy. And if I was little Annie and wanted to sell tickets for $10, sell the tickets for $10. And then here's my secret, Annie. Find a reason to make a VIP ticket for $25, so people can donate. What I'm going to do, Stacy, is I'm going to have everybody take a look at this information. We're going to talk to Stacy, and while we're talking to Stacy, those of you who are playing along on the home game, you're going to start to think about what is next. How do we complete a general information sheet? So Stacy, what this is too simple, but I could use someone to talk to right now. I'm lonely in this pandemic. What's missing here, Stacy? Is it okay? How does a young person, when you watch kids assemble the poetry and such, how do they brainstorm, and what are their solutions when they don't know something? Is it okay to put like when question mark, or what is it question mark? Can you expand on that, please?
Yeah, absolutely. I think when you're starting any kind of event, no matter the size or whatever it is, there's going to be more questions than answers when you first start. So don't let that freak you out. And one thing you should do is ask other people that you trust. So I created a committee to help me plan my Celebrate event every year now. So asking people that you trust, what do you think about this? Literally, we were setting ticket prices a little while ago for Celebrate. I was talking to some of my closest friends, and so I'm getting some ideas. So ask people, because the one thing I learned very quickly is I don't have to have all the answers, but I do need to remember to ask people for help and ideas. And some of the best things have come from just talking to people.
Right. So asking for help. And again, this is why I have the idea of a general information sheet. By handing somebody a piece of paper and
Yeah.
go, hey, can you help me with this? I'm trying to organize a show. Is this listing all the information you would want? Am I explaining my idea well enough? The virtual pub theater battles. By having it in paper, it proves to the other person you're talking to or asking for advice, hey, here's my idea. Here it is in an email, rather than having a couple of beers and going like, here's my idea. And your friend is like, I've heard this before. This is the 50th time you've told us you were going to do virtual pub theater battles. The paper is action. You put it's concrete by emailing it to your friends, sending it in Messenger. Now there's an interchange and there's some sort of official type document that I think can move you along. So now I want to just spend a little bit of time talking to you, Stacy, about your charity and the upcoming events. So if you don't mind, uh, talk a little bit about elevating connections and what are the kinds of events that you have to put on that are both, say, in person next year or virtual this year?
So when the pandemic hit, we had to go all virtual, which also meant that we couldn't have our in-person connecting events for siblings. And that was the hardest thing to give up, because the power of connection and being in the same room with somebody that you love and care about is really important. So what we did, though, is think about, how do we connect? What does that look like in a different way? And so we did our writing workshops for the Poetry Jam. And we did activities to get to know each other, and what would the things that we were doing in person that we could translate to the virtual world, and still make it personal. So that's something really important to remember, is that we're going to be connecting this way for a while. So keeping it personal, and how do you make people feel comfortable and engaged, which is why the ApocaLips is so great. And those concepts of doing shows and virtual corporate events and things like that, engaging people in a different way. And then we just had, so one of the things we do is we run a summer camp, and normally it's an overnight camp, and we could not do that this year, but we were determined to still have camp in person for kids. So we did a day camp, and we followed all the COVID guidelines. And what we did is figured out from there that having in-person activities we can still do. So it's a combination. We're doing a hybrid now.
Right.
Our dinner, do you want me to talk specifically about that?
Sure, yeah. Tell us about the dinner, because we want to hear what it is, and then by next week we'll try to narrow it down into a general information sheet with just a simple description. But go ahead, please tell us about the dinner.
So the dinner's not a dinner. We had to get really creative because we're not feeding people this time. So what's really important when you're planning any kind of event is, what is the purpose of that event? What do you want your guests or your audience or your folks that are coming to get out of it? And so we want to raise money, but how do we do that? And so we do that by tugging at heartstrings, by explaining our successes, what we've done in the last 5 years, where we're going in the next 5 years, how we've pivoted this year. And so we tell stories. We have a live cash ask. We have some surprises that I'm not going to share here,
Right.
But some things to celebrate our birthday. And so some things to consider for that is, what do ticket prices look like? Because for an in-person event, they're very different. They're more expensive because we're feeding people. So we had to think about, what do people get for a $20 ticket or a $50 ticket, or for the higher sponsorship levels? Because if you get a sponsor for your event, whether it's virtual or in person, that's where you start making your money. And that's where you fund your programming, and then you can offer more virtual events and things like that, more programming for the kids. So part of it is also, what does the guest get? So if they're going to do $1,000 sponsorship, what do they get? And understanding what their impact is. So when they do $1,000 sponsorship, they're sending 2 kids to camp. So letting them know that $1,000 sponsorship is directly impacting our kids. So we have to have those conversations as we're planning the event. And it's an impact on our guests so that we can have a bigger impact on the population that we serve. That
makes a lot of sense. So, we're learning a lot about your event. Some of this we'll cover again in step 2, pre-production, but at this point, it's the teacher nerds will call it the ideation part. We're just thinking of ideas. We're brainstorming. We want to know all of what we want to do at the event, because then that will tell us what brings satisfaction. In the end, we're going to evaluate this event for satisfaction. So let's first of all, if people want to donate $1,000 to Stacy, just go right to elevatingconnections.org, donate right there. $1,000 will send 2 kids to camp. So go to the website and donate direct if you're motivated. What we do is donate 10% of our ticket sales for things like Stacy's birthday party. So you book a virtual birthday party through us and you help Stacy pay for the birthday party. Think about being with your brother, your sister, your siblings. You want them at your birthday. And for youth separated by the foster care system, that is quite the challenge. So the birthday party is super important. And again, using these tactics, we've helped Stacy raise more money than ever. So throughout, you're gonna hear about why she's asking things like, what does the $1,000 customer need to know? They need to know what impact they're having. They're not a customer for $1,000 sofa. They're a donor for a charity event, and they, are looking to use their ample means to do something impactful. So Stacy tells them, hey, you can, get this for this donation. So our task right now is to try and complete this general information sheet. So let's check in. Don't forget, with your private events, we donate 10% to Elevating Connections. By the way, if you book a private event with us, feel free to board the I'm a Needy yacht. That's our 300 person. And we can also do smaller events, 100 person on the I'm a Needy. So feel free, you can gather all your friends. My friend Mike Langworthy will join us if you sail aboard the I'm a Needy. He's a award-winning television sitcom writer, and that's him. He stars with me on the ApocaLips. So you can, for example, here's something we could do, Stacy, to entertain people at your dinner. Beforehand, we could take them out for sail on the I'm a Needy and bring them by the French Riviera. Right, that's a high dollar event. And I'll show you what some of the things we do at Colorado comedy shows to entertain people at high dollar events like Stacy's. First, we can take you aboard a virtual cruise just about anywhere. Why not visit New York and the Statue of Liberty? It's darn gorgeous. We did this for our virtual yacht club episode. So that was pretty fun. We spoofed a movie, and the good thing about the I'm a Needy is she can go anywhere. So feel free to sail with us anywhere in Washington, D.C. if you feel that's the need. Thank you for giggling. Right, it just add some humor to your Zoom meeting and you'll find that you increase your attendance. So we've taken a little tour. We're in the middle of our task, completing a general info sheet. So let's find out how Annie is doing. At the last time, we knew she had the virtual pub theater battles. She kind of knew some dates, some tickets, but she didn't know what it is. So you can go right to the website and find out what Annie does. Learn how she struggles with her general information sheet and then comes up with the answers. So let's take a look at what Annie decided. She put together a nice piece of paper. She put the title of her event there, the Virtual Pub Theater Battles. She's expecting maybe October 17, maybe at 7 p.m. She's got some ticket prices, but what she did here is she wrote one sentence that describes her show. Virtual Pub Theater Battles features a collection of humorous, original one-pint plays written and produced by Annie Jokley. Ding, problem solved.
Yeah.
Right? Annie's got her idea. She's got it expressed in a document, and she can begin to move on to step 2 of production. Stacy, I do have some more solutions for you. Chef Mark Scapone of our virtual event
Such a talented
service
chef.
just messaged and decided, here's some ideas of what he can do for you and your dinner guests. There's Chef Scapone, just Mark Scapone, brilliant in the virtual kitchen. That's Gladys's cousin. She works in our virtual coffee shop. So after your event, you can stop by for coffee. This is our new event staff. We've reached a 300 seat capacity. So we had to bring on new bar service. This is Gladys's niece. She won't tell us her name. She won't even talk to any of us. So I know this is a sign in the ApocaLips comedy show that we're heading towards the end. So we want to find out what Annie did with her general information sheet, and then we'll see if we can't get a performance out of Emily Cornelius. So first of all, I want to make sure we say thank you to Stacy Sanders and for being our VIP. And Stacy, I've arranged some gifts for you. Look how simple that is, right? We got Stacy a bouquet of flowers.
Gorgeous.
These we like to give out at all of our events. I bought cases of them. So they're official presidential M&Ms from the good years, by the way, the Barack Obama years, 2011. Look, virtual M&Ms, they might be, almost 10 years old, but they stay virtually fresh. So also we're giving away, everybody who watches this video, imagine this, you've won a car. You've won this car. So imagine that, right? Stacy, that's pretty cool, right?
That's really cool. So,
everybody has won a car. So welcome, and you won this really cool car. We talked about elevating connections. Stacy, I think I repeated a few slides. When I see that curtain, I know that we must be getting close to the end of showtime. So we should draw the curtain open. And wow, I think we're right there at our virtual pub theater. This is pretty exciting. So real simple, right? I just built a PowerPoint and created some staging, and then I should bring out a star, right? I didn't mean to have that. Probably got to fix that transition. We're gonna do a 1 pint play, and I pray to God I put your name in on the slide. I didn't. You're gonna kill me.
It's okay, because this isn't really a 1 pint play. It's more of a taster, if anything.
Right, it's a taster. So we're gonna have a performance, then we'll just wrap up the conversation. We'll talk about what we'll do next week and such. But I definitely wanted you to have a little bit of entertainment. So ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome Emily Cornelius with a performance from the virtual pub theater. Emily Cornelius.
Yeah, thank you all for having me. I am going to take this opportunity to turn off my camera so that you all can fully get the experience of what this play is going to be. And this play, this taster of a 1 pint play is going to be called Going Viral. So this is Going Viral.
Oh, this is
written during this meeting and performed by me. So I'm going to turn my camera off, and then when I turn my camera back on, that's when the play begins.
Oh, okay. So silence in the theater, and then
please silence your cell phone. Okay, you can do this, Cora. Okay, all right. Okay, I'm gonna turn on my camera. Okay. Hi, I'm Cora, and welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited that you came back to do some makeup with me. So, this whole thing that's happening in the world is really messing up my makeup game. game. These masks don't really work. And by that, I mean, they don't help my appearance. So we've got to work with what we've got. I have to wear the mask. I have to wear my other mask, makeup. So we're going to figure it out together. And my thinking is that when you wear a mask, you don't see anything below the nose. There's nothing there. Doesn't even exist. Just a black hole that I put pizza in sometimes. So we're going to focus this on the eyes. This look is going to be eye focus, like I said. You know, eyes are the window of the soul. And mine is going to look like a very nice house on Christmas. All right. Jeez. Okay. So I'm going to get my thumbnail here, right? Wait. Okay. So, like I said, we are going to focus on the eyes. And for this look, it's going to be super easy. All you're going to need is your clean hands and your products. Please wash your hands. Please wash your hands. So, you're going to take something shiny that goes with your face and put it right there. Lovely, beautiful. What I'm going for is something natural. If I wanted to kind of beef this up, I would use a fun color. That's where I would go in with my brushes. But for this look, we are keeping things very simple. Now, I'm gonna put on this, some eyeliner. Again, eyes are the window to the soul. Next, we're going to work on our skin, which is kind of like the exterior of the building. And we don't want ours to be stucco. What is that? Jeez. Ugh, gross.
Oh.
Oh my goodness, I'm gonna have to cut this out in editing, am I right? Okay, so I'm gonna put a little bit of concealer, again, just going in with my clean fingers, my clean hands. Please, if your hands aren't clean, wash them or wear gloves. Not sure how the gloves would affect the application process, but it really doesn't matter because it's not my face, it's yours. Okay. And that's our finished look. I'm gonna put on my mask and then you can be the judge. We'll do some close-up shots, okay? What do we think?
Oh,
Oh yeah.
Please. Editing, Cora, please take this out.
Oh man.
Emily Cornelius, brava. With a one-pint play. So written and put together. You told me just before you came on, this is why I wanted you to be here, is you were like, have this idea. And so, you know, we put together the idea in just a matter of moments. And that's what I thought, Stacy, is you know, youth from your event might want to put on their own show. And to sell 7, 8, 10 tickets, I put together a budget for this class and realized that, selling 7, 8, 10 tickets. One of the examples here is she sells only 7, 8 tickets, but with no costs,
Right.
except a
Right.
broken light bulb she has to replace. Well, then Annie comes away with $50, and what is she going to do? And I think it's totally possible that somebody could, put together just something small,
Oh, yeah.
virtual, and invite some folks. And if they put together something professional, then they might find that strangers show up and purchase
Mhm.
tickets. And or they might just find they can use Eventbrite, put stuff on for free, and they might discover that they even just have an audience for their first time performing.
Yeah.
So that's what I thought we would try and get done here today. I think we achieved it. We started by sort of meeting and learning about what our goals were for this class, what's an introduction to virtual events, and we learned about the 5 steps of production, and we've completed step 1. We've got
Yeah.
a general information sheet together for Annie, and for homework, I'll put one together as an example for Celebrate Your Event, Stacy, and Emily will work together. The next class is how to write jokes that virtually kill. And
Hmm.
that starts in mid-October, right after this one. And it's going to use this same 5-step process to put on a comedy show. So we'll have a graduation comedy show. And then Stacy, the youth are putting on an art show after they attend some comedy workshops up in Deckers, right? So
Yeah.
the idea here is, can we create some tools for you and your peers to use so that after your comedy writing workshop, and if a kid performs some comedy during the art show and they say, Stacy, how do I put on my own show? You click on these articles and get started.
Yeah.
So
Well, and what I love is it makes it so accessible for anybody to try and do this. And in this changing world of ours, giving youth the opportunity to use their voice in different ways or find their footing and connect with their community in new ways. This is pretty awesome, and it's accessible for anybody to try.
yeah, I think that's the whole point. Whatever
Yeah.
your event is, you follow along. As you hear Stacy talk about her event, you work like Emily. You work on your stuff, and then if you want to buy a ticket and you join the conversation, well, we'll ask you about your event. Next week, I'll be inviting some experts. My friend Landon at the community college, the prestigious community college where I work, but they haven't paid money, so I'm not giving them the promotional sponsorship yet. They got to earn it. But Landon is into devising plays. And that's what the idea of just, here's your stage. Now you got to come up with a play.
Yeah.
And so she wrote guidelines for the One Pint plays. And I'm going to share that with Emily. We'll talk about them next week. We'll talk about things like rubrics. How do you know whether or not you have a good event? So we'll talk about that in terms of evaluation. So next week, we'll take a bigger look at pre-production, step 2, all the way on out to the end. Like how will we know if we're going to have a good event? So I think we've done our service here. Emily, I really enjoyed your One Pint play. So thank you for doing that. Appreciate you. And Stacy, I'm always glad when you join us and talk about your terrific charity. For folks who are watching, thank you. You can learn more at comedy101.chuckroy.com. Goal achieved, everybody. Stacy, Emily, thanks for joining me on day 1. You made this really possible. So thank you.
Chuck.
You're welcome. YouTubers, thanks for joining. I'm going to turn off the YouTube live. Bye, YouTube. See you later.